In this video today, I'm going to be showing you how to use Freecam version 1.1 for the Bedrock edition. Now this is an update to my Freecam add-on pack, and this update does include a few new features, one of which being able to work with multiple people simultaneously on the same world. And yes, this can be installed on a realm server or a regular world if you wish. However, keep in mind you do have to install the behavior pack on the world itself, so if you do not have access to actually modify the world, then you're not going to be able to use it. For example, you're not going to be able to log into somebody's random server and just use Freecam. It doesn't work like that. And apparently it looks like I have a little mohawk. Let me move that out of frame. So before we get into this, there is a few things that I do need to talk to you about. The first thing is, if you are wanting to install this add-on and you need help installing it, then you need to watch the full video. There is nothing that I'm going to be able to do that's going to help you more than having some initiative and watching the full video. If you watch the full video, then you're going to understand exactly how to install this. That way you can start using this wonderful add-on as soon as possible. Most of the questions that I get regarding the packs that I make have already been explained inside of the video, so I already know that you did not watch the full video, and if you did, it would have been answered whenever you were watching it. Look guys, I don't mean to be harsh about this, but on my Discord I am literally waking up to people pinging me 5, 10, 15, 20 times because I am not answering and they are not taking in account of time zones. And typically when this happens, it's at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning whenever I'm still asleep with my family, and I'm not going to wake up just to give you tech support. I'm sorry, that's just the way that it is. Especially when it's something that you can simply Google or actually watch the video and answer for yourselves. Again, not being mean, just have a little bit of initiative, guys. With that being said, if this continues, I am going to have to close messaging on my Discord server. To me, I don't want to be like all of the bigger YouTube channels. I want to keep this open. However, guys, I'm asking you nicely, please just send one message. I'm not ignoring you. As soon as I have a chance, I promise I will get back to you. There is just no need to send me multiple pings. All that's going to do is set the mood in a negative way and probably result from you being banned from the server like the last guy that decided to get rude. You need to understand that I do this to help you guys and to create wonderful things for the community that I have built and the community that I love, but I will not tolerate people being rude just because they didn't watch a video of what was already explained to them. With that being said, my chat is open for a reason. The comments are open for a reason. Send me a message. I am glad to help you guys out. Just have a little bit of patience with it and don't constantly ping me. If I don't answer you, I will answer you ASAP. With the serious talk out of the way, let's get into this and show you what I've come up with. So if you watched the previous Freecam video, you might be familiar with the screen already. This is a screen that you can bring up by typing $FC help inside of the chat. Inside of all of these commands, I've tried to keep the most common ones very clear with acronyms, that way you can hopefully easily remember these. And they are also as short as possible, that way you can easily use them if you are using some sort of touchscreen device or a console without a keyboard. Now you might have noticed that there is significantly more commands here, and I'm going to explain all of these one by one. With that being said, the blue highlighted text on the right hand side that's showing blocks per second, this is not currently accurate. I will try to get around to making this accurate before releasing it. However, I did change some speeds around, so the blocks per second is not going to be accurate currently. Hopefully by the time you download this pack, the blocks per second will be accurate. If it's anything other than what it is now, then chances are I changed it and it's going to be accurate from that point forwards. So let's start with the very first one, which is Freecam. In chat, we can type $Freecam. That's going to put us into Freecam mode. And then at this point, you're going to want to set the speed. So if we bring up that menu again, you can see that we have multiple speeds to choose from. We have C1 through C5, which is going to be your crawling speeds. And then you have S1 through S10, which is going to be your speed range. So C is obviously going to stand for crawling, and S is obviously going to stand for speed. So we'll start off with S1, so S1, which is going to put us in speed 1. Now if you missed the last video, the way that you're going to use this is actually by holding down the jump button. And unfortunately, this is going to allow the player to jump up and down whenever we are moving. So if we crouch, we can actually move backwards. Jumping is going to make us move forward. And then the camera position is going to be tied to the player's head. This is unfortunately one of the only ways that we can do it because, well, Bedrock is entirely limited. However, with every update, they are constantly adding new things that we can do, and I'm constantly learning new ways of doing them. One thing that I will note is if you are playing with a controller, whenever you crouch, it will actually hold down the crouch button. So if you're hitting the crouch button without looking at the player, just remember that it's going to hold that down. So the crouch is pretty much going to act like a toggle, so I can hit the crouch button once, it's going to hold it, even though I'm releasing it. And then if you hit it again, it's going to release that crouch. I'm pretty sure that this setting can be changed inside of your gameplay settings. However, I just prefer to actually play Minecraft with it holding crouch unless I'm using a keyboard. That way I don't go falling off the edge. As mentioned, jumping allows you to go forwards. Now I can probably change this in order to require an item in order to go forward and then another item in order to go back. However, I don't think that that's going to be as easy as just crouching and holding the jump to go. But I would love to hear your feedback on that. I just don't want to add any additional items that you need inside of the game, because then you're going to have to get those items every time that you want to use the Freecam, and that's also going to add to inventory clutter. There's just already so many things that we have to carry around with us. So in my opinion, jumping and crouching is the best way to navigate the Freecam. The next thing that I want to go over is going to be the Freecam L, which is going to be the Freecam lock. So if we type $FCL, it's going to put the Freecam lock on. I can no longer move this Freecam around, and it is locked inside of the current position. So I can move around however I want. I can record a scene. I can jump up and down, crouch, fly away. And no matter what I do, the Freecam will actually stay on this window until you unlock it. And the way that you're going to unlock it is just by typing FCLX, which is going to stand for Freecam Lock Exit. So with these acronyms, you can always think of X as exit, and that's going to actually turn off the Freecam. And I have made that to where it's actually going to keep that Freecam in place. That way, regardless if you are moving your head, moving the player, it's going to stay at the same XYZ position. Anytime that you wish to return to the player, you can just type FCX for Freecam Exit. That's going to return to the player just like so, and then you are back to being able to control the player as normal. Then whenever we want to go back into Freecam, we could just type $FC for Freecam, exit out of our menu here, and that's going to store the speed that you put in here. So if you select speed 1, whenever you enable Freecam again, you're going to start in speed 1. If you select speed 5, then you'll start in speed 5. So it's going to actually remember what your favorite speed is, which is pretty cool. Speaking of speeds, let's go over them real fast. We have all of our crawling speeds, which I thought was a pretty cool thing to add in. That way, if you guys wanted some type of cinematic effect or just a very, very slow speed to do whatever you do with slow speeds. So now we're set to crawling speed 1, which is going to be the absolute slowest. And this could be nice for doing a slow zoom in for whatever you're looking at. Of course, without my big head jumping up and down inside of the way. Here, I'll look the other direction. You're still going to be able to navigate your looking view just as quickly. However, the actual movement going forwards and movement going backwards is going to be very slow. And then if we move up to crawling number 2, that's going to make it go a little bit faster. And then if we type in crawling number 3, that's going to be a little bit faster as well. Crawling 4 is going to be a little bit faster than that. And then the max crawling speed is going to be 5, which is going to be a pretty good crawling speed in my opinion. This might be really handy for going through redstone circuits if you're looking around trying to find an issue with them, and things of that nature. Now for reference, we're going to go back to speed 1, which speed 1 starts off a little bit faster than what the crawling speed 5 was. Then we can go speed 2 to give you an idea of the speed. Speed 3, which is probably going to be a really popular speed. Speed 4. Going to be a little faster than that. Speed 5, and then after speed 5 it does start to increment a little bit faster. So if we type speed 6 correctly, then it's going to go a little bit faster. 7, 8, 9, and then if you are a speed demon, then you want speed 10, which is going to allow you to move pretty quickly. Now I did lower the speed a little bit in speed 10 because, well, I don't want you guys zooming out of the map. Let me know if you guys want me to increase the speed a little bit more, or if there's any other speed adjustments that I should make. The way that I've programmed this pack, it's very adjustable in selecting what speeds are going to be what, and I can get a very precise speed with it. So in case you missed the first Freecam video that I originally posted, this is actual Freecam mode and it does not use spectator mode. So if we run around here, you can see that the player stays there, and if we get far enough away, that player will actually unrender. So if we get a little bit closer where we can see them, and then we back up for a second, you can see that the player disappeared. We can also go all the way over here to the edge of the render distance. Now by default, this is set up for a render distance of 30, and as you can see, we have the actual end of the chunk here. But due to the way that the game is actually loaded, if I go past this, I will actually lose control. and then I'm no longer going to be able to control my free cam. The way that we're going to fix that is just by typing $FC to go back to the player. As you can see, we've returned to the player, and then we can go wherever we need to in free cam again. Now, I can probably add like an invisible wall that scales with the render distance. However, that's just going to add a lot more bloat to the code, and it's going to lower the efficiency of the code, which is not really a good thing. I don't really think that it's necessary because most players are going to know, hey, the game's not loaded there. I probably shouldn't go out of there. And if you do, it's an easy fix. You just type $FC, which will bring you back to the player as you just saw, and that's going to take care of that issue. Now, keep in mind that the camera does not load an area, so the simulation distance is only around the player. For example, wherever my player went, let me bring him back with free cam. For example, we have the player here, and it's on a simulation distance of 4, so that's going to load 4 chunks in every direction. That's going to load things like redstone and things like that. However, I can still move entities around using a teleport command, which is exactly what I'm doing inside of this pack. This camera is actually just writing a entity that I am basically tying to the player's looking position. Let me change my speed for a second so it's a little bit more manageable. And the camera is basically sitting right on top of that entity. So if we go down here to where the player's at, and then we turn around, look at the player, we can type in Freecam lock to lock the camera on, look at the camera, that way we can see what actually happens, and then we can type Freecam X, which is going to kill the entity, and as you can see, we just got a particle effect because that entity there was just killed, and that entity is the one that is going to be carrying the camera around with it. Now, I also made this to where if you exit out while you are in Freecam lock mode, and then you want to use Freecam again, it's actually not going to start in lock mode. That way, if you forget that the lock mode is on or anything like that, then you don't have to fiddle around with turning it off before actually using Freecam. And then if you're wanting to actually change the view, say you want a Freecam lock here, you can lock it here, move around, then you're like, well, I don't like that angle very much. I can Freecam lock off. I can move over to this angle instead. Yeah, I like that angle a little bit more, so then I can just type FCL to relock that. And now I can move around with the desired angle that I wanted in the first place. So it really is straightforward, simple, and easy to use. Now if I go ahead and unlock that, one thing that I will note is that this actually works by detecting the player sneaking, like so, or the player jumping, like so. You might notice that I am actually in creative mode, and the reason for that is because I want to show you something. Because if I'm flying, the player is no longer technically jumping, and I'm not technically crouching. So if the player is not technically doing that, then it's not going to move the camera at all. Just keep in mind, if the player were to no longer be able to jump for whatever reason, or no longer be able to crouch for any reason, then the code is not going to be able to pick that up, and you're no longer going to be able to go forward or backwards with jumping or crouching. However, I don't see that being an issue at all unless you are in creative mode, and the way that you fix that is obviously to not fly. That way you can actually jump or crouch. If you're in creative mode, then just place a block down underneath you and you'll be good to go. Just make sure that you don't use your movement keys. That way you don't fall off of that block and fall to your death. Now, something that you might be saying is, well, what if you are inside of a cave? Can you still use Freecam mode? So if we set a block that is going to be exactly 2 blocks above the player, you can see that I'm still able to jump there and I'm still able to crouch. So this is not going to be a problem. However, keep in mind you do have to be standing, so if you're crawling, it's not going to work. So to go over the other commands, we have $KP. I just included that in there. That way, if for whatever reason you need to kill any of the Freecam points, that's going to kill all of the Freecam points, which is that entity that the camera is riding around on. And it's going to kill that in only the loaded chunks. It does not matter if you are loading the chunk or if the player is loading the chunk or if you have any other actively loaded chunks. As long as they are loaded, then it will kill that entity. However, if the chunk is not loaded, it's not going to be able to kill that entity. So just keep that in mind. Down at the bottom, there is also a spec and a spec X command, which is going to enable you to use spectator mode as long as you have a specific admin tag. So if we type $spec in chat, you can see that it put me into spectator mode, and that is only because I have the admin tag. So I can go down here, look all around, and use spectator mode as needed. Whenever I am done with spectator mode, I can type spec X. Just make sure that you are not too far away because it's going to put you back in survival mode, and that's going to allow you to fall down and be back into survival mode. Now I can only access spectator mode because I gave myself the tag. So if I go to tag at self, remove the spec tag and remove that, I'm no longer going to have that tag. which I would not have by default. And then if I type period spec, you can see that it tells me that I went to spectator mode on. However, I'm not in spectator mode and I cannot access spectator mode. I can also run the spec-x command and that's going to tell me spectator mode is off. However, I'm not able to access spectator mode at all. Now, it is kind of janky that the text still pops up. I'll probably be working on that inside of the next release. However, with this release, I'm more focusing on the major stuff rather than the little details like that. Hopefully that does not bother you as much. The way I see it is pretty much if the people don't have access to use it, they're probably not going to be running it anyways. And this is entirely up to the admins of your world, whether or not they want to give you the tag or not. And if they decide to, you would just run tag and then the player name. So for this, I would type in RS built and then add the spec tag. And as you can see, you added the spec tag to RS built. And now I can use the spectator command and go into spectator mode. Now on the flip side, if we turn this off so we're in survival mode and we remove this tag, like I said, I'm not going to be able to use the spectator mode anymore. That's fine. But what happens if you don't want a player to use Freecam? What you are then going to do is run the tag, the player name, which would be RS built, add no Freecam, which will be NOFC, and that's going to add the no Freecam tag to them. And then whenever they try to use Freecam, it will pop the text up, like I said, just like the spectator mode. However, they're not going to be able to go into Freecam mode. And this will work for whatever player you decide to give that tag to. So the admins can actually take the ability to use Freecam away from whatever players they desire, if said player is misusing it and not using it like they're supposed to. And then of course, to give them the Freecam ability back, you just remove that tag. And then if they run Freecam, then they'll be put into Freecam mode, just like so, and be able to use it just like they normally would be able to. Now another feature that I've been working on is hit detection. However, it has been a little bit more difficult than what you think it should be. So I will continue to work on if the player is damaged, then exit out of Freecam. However, as of right now, for this version, it just has creeper detection on it. And essentially what this does is if there is a creeper within 10 blocks of the player, this distance can be adjusted, and I will show you that here shortly, and the player is using Freecam, then it will exit out of Freecam mode for that player. So for example, we are in Freecam mode. We can summon a creeper 9 blocks away, and as you can see, it exits out. Now hopefully this will give you enough time to realize that it just exited out of Freecam and there's a creeper. I don't know if I should just put a text that pops up that says creeper to remind you. I would love to hear your feedback on this. However, as of now, the default setting for this is 10 blocks, and this will hopefully save you from getting blown up and also save the builds that you are next to whenever the creeper blows up as well. So I'm hoping that that will allow you to have enough time to get out of dodge. Now at the beginning of the video, you might remember that I said that this will work with multiple players on the same world. However, there is some limitations. The limitation is that you have to be outside of the Freecam distance of the other player. For example, this is set to 500 blocks, and that will allow the Freecam entity to travel 500 blocks from where the player is standing. The reason why it's 500 blocks is because I have a render distance of 30, which is around 480 blocks, I believe, and then I added a little bit more just to be safe. That way you don't lose control of the entity before the actual edge of the render distance. So essentially you would take the max render distance of your server. So if the server cap is set to 30, like the Project Bedrock server is, then you're going to keep it at the default 500 blocks. However, if you have a render distance that is set to a max render distance for everybody that is lower than that, then you're going to take your render distance, times that by 16 for 16 blocks in a chunk, and that's going to give you the number that you need to insert into the code. Just keep in mind that it is the render distance that you want to pay attention to. The simulation distance has nothing to do with this pack. So in order for another player to be able to use Freecam, if you have it set to 500 blocks, then they need to be at least 500 blocks away from your circle, which would mean player to player would be 1000 blocks, because you have a 500 block radius and they have a 500 block radius. Keep in mind that this only matters if both players are actively using the Freecam. If you are using Freecam, then a player can come around you and not affect it at all as long as they are not using Freecam, or vice versa. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, hopefully inside of the future, I will be able to have a GUI similar to this one here that I can go in here and set the Freecam distance, creeper detection, and stuff like that. However, I am wanting to release this and don't really have the time to finish all of this up quite yet. However, you can look forward to this in probably version 1.2, and I'll probably have a lot more variables in here so you can make selections. I am also planning on doing away with supporting my camera add-on and just engraving the camera add-on into this, so there's going to be a separate GUI that you can bring up. And that GUI should allow you to set the camera however you would like, for the most part with some limitations. And I am also thinking about adding in the ability to have the Freecam follow the player. That way whenever it is inside of the locked mode, you can actually have the camera follow you side to side like it normally would. Which is of course something that's already on the camera add-on that I made. So look forward to that inside of the next upcoming updates. I just don't want to add anything that's not necessary and also redundant, but I also want to allow this pack to have as many features as possible as well. With that being said, if you have any recommendations, be sure to drop them down inside the comments below or drop me a message on Discord. When I do add these onto the pack, they will probably be behind a tag similar to the spectator. That way if admins do not want you to have the ability to use the camera command or whatever, then they can give you a specific tag, but something like that will probably be enabled by default. We'll just have to see how it all plays out. Now at the stick inside of my inventory, this is currently used to open up this GUI. However, this is just an item that I chose just to be able to bring up the form. This is not going to be included inside of the pack, and the form as of right now does not have any function. Whenever I do decide to add the forms, then I'll probably make a command to bring them up, or probably an item. We'll have to see. I generally don't mind using items to bring up forms as long as those forms are not used frequently, so if it's a form that you're setting settings in, then it's probably not too big of a deal to require an item to open it. However, if it's a form that you're constantly wanting to access, something like my recording add-on, then you're probably going to want an easy way of opening that, and not always need an item to open it. With that being said, I have made this Freecam add-on very adjustable, and that's going to give you quite a bit of control over the add-on that I have created. Now, as of right now, I currently have this pack inside of the development behavior pack folder, and that's going to allow me to make adjustments on the fly, and then just run the reload command to reload the functions and scripts. That way I can make adjustments as necessary. If you download this pack and you do not have it inside of the development behavior pack folder, then you're not going to be able to do this. And whenever the pack is downloaded into the game, that is the settings that is going to be downloaded along with it. So let's jump into exactly what I'm talking about, and I'll show you guys how to make adjustments. So if you are wanting to actually make adjustments to this pack, what you're going to want to do is grab your pack and you are going to put it inside of your com.mojang folder. You're going to find the development behavior packs right here, and you are going to place this add-on folder inside of the development behavior packs folder. At that point, you can go into this pack, and then you can go to scripts, and then you want to find settings. I've made this a separate folder, that way it is very easy for you to change it, and you don't really have to worry about messing stuff up for the most part. However, keep in mind you do not want to change anything in here that is not made to be changed. So if I bring up VS Code here, you can see that we have all of these that we can make adjustments to. I've even notated these, that way you know what the default value is set to. That way if you get lost and you don't know what to put back inside of here, you at least have the default that you can actually put back in there. So the first thing that we have here is the prefix, and this is going to be the prefix that you're going to use in order to bring up the command. So right now we have the period. We can change this to a lot of different things. So if you wanted to do an exclamation point, we can type a exclamation point there instead of the period, and then we can save it. You can hit save. I prefer to use the shortcut key Control S to make it fast. That's going to save it, and then we need to go into our Minecraft game. As you can see, because I have not reloaded it, I can still type period FC, and that's still going to put me into Freecam mode. However, if I run reload, then that's going to reload the scripts and functions. And then if I type period FC, you can see it's not going to do anything. I'll have to use the new exclamation point FC, and that's going to put me in Freecam mode. So you can change the prefix to whatever you want to initiate the command. This is really handy if you want to change this to where it's not going to interfere with a pack that might use the same prefix to activate one of their commands. And that's the exact reason why I like to use the period instead, because it's easy to type, and a lot of the other packs will use an exclamation point or a forward slash. However, there's a lot of different things that you can type here. So if you wanted to do like period, you can save that, and then we can reload. And now if we type exclamation point FC, it's not going to work. Period FC, it's not going to work. But if we type period FC, then we're going to be able to go into Freecam. The default is going to be set to period FC. So I'll just set that back, save that, reload that, and then back to period FC is going to enable Freecam. And that's going to change the prefix for every single command. Now the radius, this is the radius that I was talking about. On default, I have it set to 500, which is going to be 20 blocks larger than a 30 chunk render distance. So if I were to type 50 in here instead and save that, then I can go back to Minecraft. I can reload this, put myself into Freecam mode, and then as soon as I get to 50 blocks away, it is going to stop allowing me to progress forward, and then I'm going to lose control of the entity. The reason why I made this adjustable is because if you're like a mobile player and you only have a render distance of say 10 chunks, then you're not going to be able to control the Freecam out of the area that is loaded by the player anyways. However, that radius is still going to affect how close another player is able to use Freecam to you. So if you have a render distance of 10, however the radius is set to 500 like default, then the player will still have to be 1000 blocks away in order to use Freecam. So instead, we can bring up our calculator, take the render distance of 10 chunks, times that by 16, which is going to give us 160 blocks. We can add 20 to that, making it 180, which will then mean that my Freecam can move 180 blocks away from the players. And then if we times that by 2, because both of our players will have that same 180 block radius, that's going to mean that both of our players can now be 360 blocks apart and use Freecam rather than being the 500 blocks apart. Hopefully that makes sense. So if we go back into the game, as you can see, we cannot move the Freecam at all. And then if we put this back onto 500, we can hit save, bring Minecraft back up, reload it, and then that's going to give us the control over this entity again, which makes it really nice. That way you can adjust it for your own render distance. Like I said, in the future I'll probably have all of this inside of a drop down menu, that way you can just select it and be on your way. The next two are going to be for the camera command. If you do not know how to use these, I would either recommend looking at a video and learning how to use these, or don't mess with these at all. If you do mess these up, then you do have the defaults listed here, and I do need to change that to 3, so let's save that. However, the ease is basically how long it takes to make a transition from the camera, so going from the camera to the player or the player to the camera. So if we type a 1 in here instead of 0.3 and save this, that means that it's going to take 1 full second in order to make the transition between these. So if we go back here, reload once again, and then we put it into Freecam mode, you can see that it takes 1 full second in order to make the transition. However, the Freecam exit will still be the same because that's just how I have it set up. Now the out sign is what I have it set to by default. However, there is a ton of different types of eases. I would highly recommend looking into these if you do want to change this. I do like the out sign probably the most for this particular application. However, if you do have a desire to change it, I did make this changeable. That way you can adjust it as needed. And then the creeper detection is pretty self-explanatory. It is by default set to a distance of 10. But if you wanted to set this to, say, a distance of 15 before the creeper is detected, that way it can exit out of Freecam a little bit sooner, then you can change that to 15. However, keep in mind that this is going to detect a sphere, so it is also going to detect creepers that may be below you inside of a cave that is unlit. And for that reason, I decided to make this a default of 10. That way the chance of detecting a creeper that is not actually targeting you is a lot lower. However, it still gives you ample time to actually realize that a creeper just exited your Freecam and is about to blow you up. Now with that being said, you do not have to change any of these. It's totally fine to leave this at default. Just remember what I said about the radius here affecting the distance that the other player has to be while they are actively using Freecam. Again, this only matters if both players are actively using Freecam. However, keep in mind that you don't actually have to put this inside of the development behavior packs folder unless you are actively wanting to make changes to this and see the result inside of your Minecraft world. You can entirely skip this pack by opening this up and setting the prefix to whatever you want by doing a little bit of math. Again, taking your render distance, timesing it by 16, adding 20 to that, and then placing the number here. And then you can just load that into a pack like normal and install it into the Minecraft world. However, anytime that you want to change the prefixes here, you are going to have to completely uninstall the pack, make the changes to the code, and reinstall the pack. That way it reloads all of these changes along with it, because these are not going to be loaded every time that you open up the Minecraft world. Alright, to install this, the first thing that you want to do is drop a like on the video. That really helps me out and tells me that you appreciate me taking the time to put this pack together. In return, it helps push my video to be shown to more people, which is greatly appreciated. You then want to go down to the description and find the download link. Go ahead and give that a double click and download the pack from there. You should be able to find the pack, which is going to be called Freecam BE for Bedrock Edition, and BP stands for Behavior Pack. This pack does not require any kind of resource pack. Once you download it, you should have a zipped folder just like this. What you're going to want to do is right click on that and click Extract All. You can extract that wherever you would like. I'm going to extract it to the desktop because I'm working here on the desktop. And then we have the extracted folder here. We can go ahead and delete that zip folder. We no longer need it. Now, if you're wanting to make any of your adjustments, you can go into this pack here, go into scripts, go into the settings, and then all of your adjustments are here. Again, make the adjustments before installing this pack onto your world. And then once all of your adjustments are done, we can exit out of this. And then we are going to convert this back into a zip file. That way Minecraft can use it. So you want to go to send to, compressed, and then you can name it whatever you would like. I'm leaving it what I've already named it, obviously. That way you can see what it is. And then we can delete this folder because we no longer need it. Now at this point, you're going to grab this zip file that contains the files that you just changed. Then we are going to right click on this and rename it. And we are going to rename the zip part from .zip to .mc add-on. Hit enter. It's going to warn you that this may make it unstable. This is Windows default notification for whatever file type you change. However, going from a .zip to a .mc add-on is the exact same thing. The .mc add-on is just a proprietary Minecraft zip file, which means that it's specific for Minecraft. So we can hit yes, and that's going to convert it into that MC add-on file. Next, we can give that a double click, and that is going to import it into Minecraft. Now, I've already cleared all of the packs out of mine, so I should not have any problem downloading this. And then I'm going to click on the world that I want to download it to. Now, one thing that I want to make you know about is if you are making a new world, you are going to want to go to create new world, and you are going to set the world up exactly how you want to. And then you're going to go down to the experiments and you want to turn on the beta APIs. It's going to ask you if you are sure. You are going to hit turn on experiments anyways. And then you can go in here and add on whatever behavior packs and then whatever resource packs you want to add on here as well. However, if you are wanting to add this to a pre-existing world, what you're going to want to do is find your world, and we're going to find one that does not have the experiment on. So let's go to my world here, and then we can go down here and we are going to turn on beta APIs. This must be on for it to work. So beta APIs, activate experiments, and that's going to copy the world. Now, one thing that you need to pay attention to is that we have the copy of my world and then we have the my world. The regular default copy is not going to contain the experimental features, which is the beta APIs that we just enabled. Only the copied one is. So you are going to want to use this one. And then if you would like, you can either keep this for a backup or you can delete it entirely. However, this is the one that you're going to want to use in order for this to work, not this one. So the copy of my world, we can go in here and activate all of the stuff on here. So the beta APIs, we can double check those are turned on, which is wonderful. The only one that we're going to need is the behavior packs. We're going to go to my packs and find the Freecam Bedrock version 1.1. Click on this and click activate. That's going to tell you that it's going to turn off achievements. That's totally fine. There is a bunch of ways that you can get achievements back. However, if you need to know how to do that, just go to my YouTube profile and search how to get achievements back. I have a video or two that shows how to do that. Then once that pack is installed, you can just go to play. However, if you don't care about achievements like me, then it's not a big deal. And now we are inside of the world. So if we go to chat and type in .FC, that's going to put us into Freecam mode. However, you can see if we jump, it's not going to do anything. And that is because this is the first time that we've used this. We have to set our speed first. So S5 for speed 5. And now we can actually move around, go backwards, and do everything that you should be able to do in Freecam. Now, as mentioned inside of the previous one, there is some render glitches that does take place inside of Freecam. So as you can see, if we move, you might see that some of the stuff disappears. Pretty sure this has to do with optimization as to how Minecraft is coded. However, this is something that Mojang has to fix and something that I have no control over. Well, there you have it, Freecam version 1.1. Let me know what you guys think about this, what you would change, and as always, if you need any help, drop a comment below or drop me a message on Discord. Just make sure that you don't ping me 100 million times at 3 a.m. and I will get back to you guys as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. I sure hope that you enjoy this. Subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.